Good morning, students, and welcome to my video lesson. So our topic for today is about the geographical features of the Philippines. And in this lesson, we will be discussing the following. First one, the Philippine boundaries and its major landforms. Next is types of climates experiencing by our country. And the last one, other tropical countries in the world. Okay, so let's start our discussion. The Philippines, officially called the Republic of the Philippines, is an archipelagic nation located in the Western Pacific Ocean in Southeast Asia between the Philippine Sea on the east side and the South China Sea on the western side. The country is an archipelago made up of 7,107 islands and is near the countries of Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. As of 2021, the Philippines had a population of roughly 110 million people and was the 13th most populous country in the world. The Philippine archipelago is bounded by the Philippine Sea to the east, the Celebes Sea to the south, the Sulu Sea to the southwest, and the South China Sea to the west and north. The islands spread out in the shape of a triangle, with those south of Palawan, the Sulu Archipelago, and the island of Mindanao outlining from west to east respectively its southern base, and the Batan Islands to the north of Luzon forming its apex. Only about 2/5 of the islands and islets have names, and only some 350 have areas of 1 square mile or 2.6 square kilometer or more, meaning to say those were the only areas where people can live. So of all those islands that have named, their actual number is over 1,400 islands. The large islands fall into 3 groups, so basically named Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So here is the first, the Luzon group of island, where we can found the islands of course, Luzon, which is the biggest. Then we also have the island of Mindoro and the island of Palawan. The second group of island is located in the Visayan region. The Visayas group in the center consisting of the islands of Bohol, Cebu, Leyte, Negros, Panay, and Samar. And the third group, which is actually considered as the second biggest island in the Philippines, is the Mindanao in the south. One of the famous regions in the Philippines is the Cordillera Administrative Region, for one of its cities was branded as the summer capital of the Philippines, which is of course the city of Baguio, also known as the City of Pines. Located also in this region is the famous Banawe Rice Terraces, which was placed before as one of the 8 wonders of the world. Cordillera region is a mountainous region bounded by Cagayan Valley in the east and the Ilocos region in the west. The Sierra Madre, extending along the Pacific coast from northern to central Luzon, is the longest mountain range in the country. The Sierra Madre is the longest mountain range in the Philippines, spanning over 540 kilometers or 340 miles. It runs from the province of Cagayan down to the province of Quezon, forming a north-south direction on the eastern portion of Luzon, the largest island of the archipelago. The central plain of Luzon is approximately 11,000 square kilometers in size. It is the country's largest producer of rice and is irrigated by 2 major rivers, the Cagayan to the north, and the Pampanga to the south. In the middle of the plain rises the solitary Mount Arayat. The vast plain of central Luzon stretches in the provinces of Bulacan, Pampanga, Bataan, Tarlac, and Nueva Ecija. And for that vastness, it is said to be the rice granary of the Philippines. Mayon, also known as Mount Mayon, is an active stratovolcano in the province of Albay in Bicol region. Mayon volcano is actually the famous volcano in the Philippines and is one of the major tourist attractions in the Bicol region. Palawan. Officially, the province of Palawan is an archipelagic province of the Philippines that is located in the region of Mimaropa. Palawan, which is said to be the Philippine last frontier, boasted of their clear water beaches, luxurious island resorts, and their underground river, which was placed into the list of the new 7 wonders of nature. Mount Apo, also known locally as Apo Sandawa, is a large solfataric dormant stratovolcano on the island of Mindanao. Mount Apo is actually considered as the highest mountain in the Philippines, and it is located in the Davao region. Now let's move on to the discussion about the climate. The climate of the Philippines is tropical and strongly monsoonal, which means wet and dry. In general, rain-bearing winds blow from the southwest from approximately May to October, and drier winds came from the northeast from November to February. Southwest monsoon, which is actually known as hanging habagat, blows from May to October, while the northeast monsoon, which is locally named as hanging amihan, blows from November to February. Technically speaking, the Philippines is experiencing 4 types of climate based on the different areas in the Philippines. So just look out for the different color legends. Then later we will reveal what are the different places stated by those color legend. So the first type of climate is type 1, which has 2 pronounced seasons, dry from November to April and wet during the rest of the year. And here are the different places in the Philippines that experiences the type 1 type of climate. So the western parts of Luzon, Mindoro, Negros, and Palawan experience this climate. Areas under this type include the western part of Cagayan, Isabela, parts of northern Mindanao, and most of eastern Palawan. Type 2 kinds of climate experiences no dry season with a very pronounced maximum rainfall during the months of November to December. And here are the different places experiencing this type of climate. The western parts of Luzon, Mindoro, Negros, and Palawan experience this climate. These areas are actually shielded by mountain ranges but are open to rains brought in by habagat and tropical cyclones. Type 3 climate. Seasons not very pronounced, relatively dry from November to April, and wet for the rest of the year. And here are the different places experiencing this type of climate. Areas under this type include the western part of Cagayan, Isabela, parts of northern Mindanao, and most of eastern Palawan. And the last type of climate is type 4, which experience rainfall more or less evenly distributed throughout the year. And here are the different places experiencing this type of climate. The regions with this type of climate include most of central, eastern, and southern Mindanao, western Leyte, northern Cebu, Batanes, northeastern Luzon, southwestern Camarines Norte, western part of Camarines Sur, Albay, Marinduque, western Leyte, northern Cebu, and Bohol. Now let's move on to the last part of our discussion, which is the other tropical countries in the world. Remember that we are not the only country here on Earth experiencing tropical climate wherein only dry and wet season prevails. No white Christmas in December, no days of full sunlight, and others that the temperate and polar regions have. But we are not the only one who lies into the place for which is known as the tropical region. Tropical countries are those that lie within the region that we call the tropics. The tropics is the zone between the Tropic of Cancer, the parallel of latitude at 23 degrees north, and the Tropic of Capricorn, the parallel of latitude at the 23 degrees south. Everywhere in the tropics is struck by the sun's perpendicular rays at noon on a minimum of 1 day in each year. And here are the list of the other tropical countries in the world. In the Western Hemisphere, tropical countries include Mexico, all of Central America, all of the Caribbean islands from just south of Nassau in the Bahamas and the top half of South America, including Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, as well as the northern portions of Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil. In Africa, the only nations that cannot be called tropical countries are Morocco and Tunisia in the north, and Lesotho and Swaziland in the south. All the rest lie either entirely or at least partly in the tropics. While no European countries are tropical countries, the Middle East has 4 tropical countries: Yemen, which is entirely in the tropics, and parts of Saudi Arabia, Oman, and United Arab Emirates. India in Southern Asia lies mostly in the tropics, and all countries of Southeast Asia are tropical countries. Australia, Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, Kiribati, and most of the island nations of Oceania in the South Pacific are all tropical countries. Before we end our discussion, let's listen first to some of the past facts about our beloved country, Philippines. Official name, Republic of the Philippines. Its capital is Manila. Total number of population, roughly 110 million as of 2021. Official languages, Filipino and English. Currency, Philippine pesos. Form of government, Presidential Republic. Climate, tropical marine. Northeast monsoon, November to April. Southwest monsoon, May to October. Total land area, 115,831 square miles or 300,000 square kilometers. Highest point, Mount Apo, 9,692 feet or 2,954 meters. Lowest point, the Philippine Sea, 0 feet, 0 meters. And that's all. That is the end of our discussion regarding the topic, the geographical features of the Philippines. Thank you very much for listening and goodbye.